Hello guys, welcome to our video. First thing, let me introduce myself. My name is Bogy Wicaksono. Previously, did you know what the halo effect theory is? Maybe most of you are not familiar with this halo effect theory, so I will explain a little about this halo effect first. The halo effect is an opinion or impression of someone based on the status or character he made in the media. Simply, cognitive bias that occurs when an initial positive impression of a person also influences the individual overall perception. This term appeared in 1920, which was put forward by a psychologist named Edward Thorndike. An example of thing that can affect this halo effect is appearance. When someone is well dressed, we will conclude that this person is a good person. On the other hand, this halo effect has a negative impact on life. For example, treating other people differently because of the opinion from the image that he made in public. We recommended that this halo effect is minimized as much as possible. The trick for minimize this effect is not to rush to judge someone's character and put forward an objective or fact-based perspective when judging other people. To prove it, we have asked several people about a case about how people respond. This question concerns drug use. The first question: what do you think about random people, a total stranger, who do drugs and then get caught by police?
If someone uses drugs and then arrested by the police, in my opinion, the main factor for someone to use drugs is because of the influence of the surrounding environment, so that if you try it, it will have an addictive effect. Then, surely this addiction will become a habit of a user who is eventually arrested by the police. Arrested by the police is appropriate for a drug user because it is clearly stated in the laws in force in any country that drugs are illegal drugs, so that individuals who violate will be subject to criminal sanctions. Then, how do you want to know and avoid someone who uses drugs? The most important thing is not to be easily influenced by the impression of a person's appearance and character, because everyone's character is different and anyone can be a drug user. This is called the halo effect, which is related to the assumption of one's thinking towards others, because everyone will be easily trapped in judging someone, so that it can be positive or negative. However, don't be quick to judge someone and try to always have an open mind to respect each other in social
Hi, my name is Yanuarista Cahyaningrum and you can call me Rista. Okay, maybe you have heard what my friends have said about people who use drugs. Now, let me tell you about the case of drug abusers in early 2022. I noticed the case of EF, the initial of person known as the drug courier who had hidden drugs in his wardrobe. This article was written by Khoiriyah Alfissahroh on metrositesindonews.com January 10, 2022. This article described the chronology of the arrest of people with initial EF. The arrest began with reports from residents who suspected that there was an illegal sale and purchase of drugs. From the report, the Chilean police responded quickly and arrested EF in the rented house and included evidence in the form of a package of drugs that arrived in Chinese tea packaging. During interrogation, the suspect also revealed that he had hidden crystal drugs in his wardrobe. For his action, EF is suspected of Article 114 Paragraph 2 or Article 122 Paragraph 2 of the Republic of Indonesia Law Number 35 of 2009. Concerning narcotics with a minimum threat of 6 years or a maximum of life imprisonment or even the death penalty. From this case, what can we conclude about the person with the initial EF? Why? We will always ask, why did he do it? There will be many possibilities, because here he is a courier who is not described as a user, so we can think that maybe EF needs money for his life, but in the way that cannot be justified by law. His practice as a drug dealer of course endangers the people who targeted or maybe who may become users. It really has a negative impact on many parties, but from sellers who will get richer with the illicit goods they sell, as well as users who may also have an impact on their health or even become wanted by the police in the future. That's all from me. Keep watching this video to hear more friends.
Drugs. If we're talking about drugs, nowadays we can easily find it on the internet that people are getting caught due to drug using. Whether you're a famous person or someone who got yourself into high school. Yes, it is a sad news actually, because we know that drugs are illegal, but people kept on using it. Which is bad actually, because drugs not only affects your immune system, it also affects your way of thinking and acts toward your surrounding. And actually people can notice whether you are wearing drugs or not just by your expression. And yes, whatever the reason is, those who are using drugs should be proceeded just like how the law is being stated. Most of them using drugs are due to, like they want to get their heads out of things that has been running free in their heads for years, or maybe they want to, boost their energy, or those call it doping. But yes, once again, for those who are using drugs, better be proceeded just like how the law is being stated. And you don't want to mess with the authorities, whether it's the police or BNN. Well, those who are not only using but also persuading others to use drugs should get more punishment than those who are only using it, because they're persuading others to use it. So yes, once again, I think for those who are using drugs should be get zero tolerance on their action, because they should be responsible for their action itself.
News about drug cases, in my opinion, is not surprising anymore. More and more drug users because they feel frustrated, stressed, or even tired of the life they live as temporary refuge. Not only as an escape from the harsh world, now many people consume it because it requires more energy to carry out daily activity. Drugs that should be classified as illegal drugs seems to be just as trivial things. They don't think about the impact of consuming the illegal drugs on their health. Most drug users come from people who tend to have many problems in their life that they can solve, which then make drugs temporary as a short escape for the complexity of life. However, this time drugs no longer look at age, gender, social status, or even religion status. It cannot be used as a reference for someone to consume drugs. Drug users are not only from the lower middle class. A conglomerate is now often involved in drug cases too. Not infrequently, when I watch news shows on television about drug cases, I really don't see anything for the user. Starting for the upper class to the lower middle class, all age, and even people who are famous for their religion education cannot be separated for drug cases. I think it's a bit surprising how someone who has such a strong religious background and diligence in worship could be caught in drug cases. How can this be? Even though they are people who have good knowledge and education, they should understand the prohibition of using drugs, but they still using them even it's only at the certain times. If the person affected the drugs cases is diseases or rebel, it's not surprising if he takes such action. But now people who have deep knowledge, that sounds so unreasonable. Maybe that's a point of view that I can explain. Thank
Here's
you.
my opinion about random people who use drugs. and gets caught by the police. I think the reason why people do drugs in the first place is because they are dragged to try it from their friends. Because kids nowadays are often trying to look cool and oftentimes are trying to look strong in front of their friends. And then at some point, they will enjoy using it. And if they do enjoy it, they will become addicted to use drugs. And second, probably because they are stressed from their jobs or their problems and wanted to look for a fun sensation to search for an escape from reality from a bit or searching for something to make them feel better. And if they do enjoy doing drugs, the addiction will force them to do drugs very often, and the addiction will force them to buy drugs very often from the drug dealer until it becomes easy by the police to track the drug user down. And I think the police is right to catch a drug user because it is illegal to use drugs in Indonesia. And when people who use drugs get caught by the police, the nation will help them to rehabilitate and try to stop them to use drugs illegally.
Now, what if it's Rizky Nazar? We all know he is been caught doing drugs in 20 and 21. What do you think about this issue?
Hi, I'm Elina and I want to share my opinion about Rizky Nazar, who's been caught on doing drugs. Well, I think it's such a shame that he's been caught on doing drugs. We all know that drugs are illegal, of course, and it's bad for your physical and your mental health. People shouldn't do drugs, especially when you're a public figure like Rizky Nazar. But, well, who knows, right? As an actor, Rizky Nazar probably got a lot of pressure from work. And people make mistake. It's just because Rizky Nazar caught on doing drugs doesn't mean he's a fully bad person, right? It's just one of his mistakes that been published by the media. Like, he's been playing a lot of great role on movies and people liked him. And even though he's using drugs, it can be cured at the rehab place. I mean, he can get rid of his addiction to drugs. And for some reason, I kind of feel bad for him. The reason he's using drug is probably because he's so stressed. Like what other reason it could be? He worked a lot, and with this news about him, it puts more pressure to him. Well, I really hope he's doing well now and hope that he doesn't do the same mistake again. And for me personally, just because one mistake, it doesn't change my opinion about Rizky Nazar itself. He's still a talented actor for me and I like his movies. So, yeah. Maybe that's my opinion about the news about Rizky Nazar on drugs. And yeah, thank you.
Hello, my name is Dyah Indri Hapsari. I'm here to talk about the Rizky Nazar news that tripped over a drug case. I was so surprised at the infotainment news that Rizky Nazar had been using drugs all along. We had been thinking that Rizky Nazar was such an love and far from being naughty. Turns out that our guest has been wrong so far. It turns out that Rizky Nazar used drugs just because he couldn't sleep, even though he was a famous actor in Indonesia. Obviously, he can definitely buy quality sleeping pills, and also he has so much money. The Indonesia community was disappointed by the statement he made and also we were disappointed because our guest was wrong all along, and Rizky felt that if he was using drugs, he could sleep peacefully. He didn't have a life at all because of drugs use, and also his acting career would be running, but who knows, he couldn't get an acting role again. He was this he was so handsome and admired by many people. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Shafa, and today I'll share my opinion toward the news of Rizky Nazar caught for consuming drugs lately. So actually, I was really surprised the moment that I heard about the news, because it's like one of the most well-known Indonesian actors, right? Because he's been starring in some movies projects and TV shows, such as Oprah. So yeah, and I rushed to stalk his Instagram account, and to be honest, if I have to judge based only his Instagram persona, I feel like he seems to live a happy life, a good, busy, in a productive way. But then again, it's also remind me that it's not really a good measurement tools for us to decide to make sure that he living a happy life or not. So yeah. And to be honest, this case was not really surprised me because this phenomenon is something that I see as a common case. There's a lot of celebrities that happens to consume drug as well because maybe they just craving for those a brief moment of calm and happy situations. But still, though, I'm not gonna normalizing the act of consuming drugs because it's bad. The moment that it enters your body, I think it will act as a poison not only for your bodies but also affect your minds. So yeah, I guess it's bad not just because it's illegal in Indonesia. And but then again, I think this not gonna affect on how I perceive Rizky as a person or his acting skills. So yeah, and I hope that this will be a lesson for him. This can make him to be a decent person more. So yeah, that's my opinion. Thank you.
Hi, it's me Friederika Alfreesco Pramesti. I wanna share my thought about Rizky Nazar doing tracks on 2021. Okay, first of all, I thought that how come? Like, oh my gosh, I really like how he's acting when he playing movies such as I Love You 38,000 Feet, London Love Story, and then Magic Hour. And despite of his handsome physical appearance, I think he is a very good actor and professional, and there are no bad scandals, rumors, or reputation about him. And about doing drugs, surely he has reason to use it, like stress due to social pressure maybe, or works, I don't know. And of course we don't know, right? But the point is, whatever the reason, he should have thought about the effect of taking drugs on himself. First, for his health, of course, it can cause serious damage to his brain if he uses drugs long term. And for his career, it can ruin his career. And it's so bad. I don't want no more comment about him because, yeah, it's his choice. And I think he is mature enough to be able to choose whether he does drugs or not. And what are the consequences of his choice, which is doing drugs. But at the end, I hope he doesn't do drugs. And anyone, please don't do drugs because it can ruin our future, our life, and everything. So please don't do that, okay?
Hi everybody, I'm Intan Cesidilla Pramesti. Rizky, what about Rizky? Already very familiar with the name. Yes, he is a public figure that many people like. But recently, at the end of 2021, Rizky was reported to be a suspected marijuana user in an area in Jakarta. Who would have thought someone like him could use such a forbidden item? I'm sure everyone will be surprised. Yes, me too. Because if you look at the entertainment world, Rizky is a very positive person. However, we have been fooled by the green screen. Speaking of drug, it's a forbidden drug that should not be taken for granted by anyone, including even public figure. For any reason in using the item, it's still wrong and must be followed up. So, in my opinion, the arrest of Rizky, who was initially suspected of being a drug user, was later processed and tested positive for a drug user. That is what should have been done. The law does not discriminate between positions. Even though he is a public figure, he still has to be judged for his action. And as a result, after going through various legal process, Rizky will only be rehabilitated in the future, not imprisoned. That if I give an opinion, yes, I agree, because it is better to be rehabilitated until recover than to be put in prison, which may not necessarily be able to provide a deterrent effect for the suspect, even make the prison content full. Thank you.
Honestly, I am quite unhappy in Rizky handling of his case involving the use of these narcotics. I'm really sad and disappointed about him, since he may be one of my idols. At first, I didn't believe he would do such a thing, according to his vlog with his family and friends, and he is a quiet, good-looking man with a happy family, a lovely girlfriend, as we know that is Shafa, and a secure job. I think he was almost perfectly. As a result, it prevents me from thinking negatively about him. If I'm in his position, like stress, difficulties, or something similar, at the very least, I will run to my buddies or other closest people to share what I was feel, instead of splicing it on harmful substance such as narcotics. This actually has a negative effect. If you start with something bad, other bad things will follow, as the proverb goes, and this has certainly been the case.